If you're a Blue Lock fan, you know PXG vs Bastard Munchen is the current and final game of the Neo Egoist League, a perfect way to put a ribbon on one of the best arcs. The most hyped up game in Blue Lock, the one with the most rivalries, the current number 1 and 2 going against each other, and I guess Igaguri and Nanase, but the two best teams in the NEL going against each other for the crown. But what if this super hype and unpredictable game has already been solved? And that's why I'm here today. Your favorite Nanase cosplayer, Hiryo, is going to be giving his best shot at what I think will happen in PXG versus Bastard Munchen, and why I think the winner is already decided. And if you want to be a winner too, hit that subscribe button because I'll be here to cover all of this beautiful game and see it unfold, and you guys should see it too. Alright, so the first thing that makes this game super hype is probably the characters in this match. Both sides have super stacked teams, rivalries, revenge arcs, and fan favorite characters we haven't seen in literally 2 years, or over 100 chapters. But the two most important characters in this match is Kunigami and Nah, it's obviously Isagi and Ren. The numbers 1 and 2, Uno and Dos, the best and longest rivalry in all of Blue Lock. These two characters obviously are super important, but more than that, they play a crucial role in my theory and ultimate conclusion of who wins this game. We'll get into that a little bit later, but the first thing we need to look at to solve this game is the lineup itself. Although both lineups are super stacked, we gotta look at the capable goal scorers. Even though PXG has the likes of Karasu, a young prodigy in Charles, and a speedster in Zantetsu, the two capable goal scorers of the team are obviously Ren and Shido. As hype as it would be to see someone like Tokimitsu score a goal for PXG, these two are the only players who have actually scored goals for the team and are obviously the lead forwards going into this match, so we can expect these two to score a goal. However, on Bastard Munchen's side, we have 3 capable goal scorers: the main character Isagi, Kunigami, who is bound to show off due to his recent development and rivalry with Shido, and also Kaiser, who has a new weapon up his sleeve. We'll definitely see Rin score a goal, showcasing his skills of being the number 1. Shido obviously is one of the best goal scorers in the series. Isagi is the strongest he's ever been and also plot-wise needs a goal in order to contend for the number 1 spot. Kunigami has way too much development in this game for him to not score a goal, and Kaiser is kind of 50-50, but with a recent backstory and a new weapon, the last time we'll see him before the World Cup, it does make sense if we do see a goal from him. If we calculate it like that already, Ren and Shido score 1 each, and Isagi, Kunigami, and Kaiser score 1 each. That already makes it 3-2 in Bastard Munchen's favor. But that's really unrealistic. We can't base it solely off of that. Ren or Shido can score 2, the Master Strikers on both sides also can score a goal, or maybe Kunigami and Kaiser don't even score 1 goal. But the capable goal scorers is something I do have to mention. Let's get into an actual argument though. As I mentioned earlier, Ren and Isagi. There are 2 things we have to keep in mind here: Ren and Isagi's goals, or their objectives, and their development in the future of Blue Lock. Ren is easily one of the most important characters in Blue Lock. You could argue that he could be the main character if they really wanted to. He's super strong, has a backstory and a rivalry outside of Blue Lock. He's Eren and Mikasa's love child, and he's again the main character's main rival. If you look at main characters and their rivals, the deuterogonists, whatever the hell they call it these days, Naruto and Sasuke, Goku and Vegeta, Asta and Yuno, the rivals reaching their goals are just as important as the main characters reaching their goals. So with Ren's goal being to crush his brother Sai and his main rival Isagi, we can probably predict that he'll accomplish these goals as the deuterogonist of the series. His goal, however, is way different than Isagi's goal. Isagi's goal from the start has always been chasing that number 1 spot, from Ego's speech to the most recent chapters, solidifying his goals for what he wants, which is to become the world's best player. Right away, you can see that Ren's goal is different than Isagi's. He doesn't necessarily care about being the number 1 player, rather just proving Isagi and his brother wrong. Isagi's goal is much more ambitious than this, chasing to be the number 1 or best player. And as the main character, he will most likely accomplish his goal. It's his story after all. But like I said before, how do they give both of these characters, most likely the 2 most important characters in the series, the main character and his rival, a chance to complete both their goals? And I believe the answer is in this current game, PXG versus Bastard Munchen, which is why I bring it up here and why I think this game is already solved, with Bastard Munchen winning because of this argument. But before we jump to conclusions, listen to this. Ren's goal isn't stuck up on being the number 1. He could care less if he wasn't the number 1 in the NEL, as his main goal is beating Isagi and Sai. Obviously, that doesn't take away the frustration of losing, and if anything, Ren is probably the biggest sore loser in Blue Lock, and also the biggest grinder. A person who hates to lose because he wants to make progress towards his goal. But his goal is what he cares about. It's been solidified way too many times, and as the main rival, I do think he'll complete his goal of beating Isagi and beating Itoshi Sai. So during the PXG versus Bastard Munchen game, I can totally see Ren beating Isagi during this match, kind of like how Nagi beat Isagi, whether it be by keeping the #1 spot, which again he doesn't care too much about, or just outplaying him. I don't think Ren will lose to Isagi. No matter what, he'll quote-unquote beat him during this game. And for plot reasons, this also makes sense for both their characters. Ren will complete one part of his goal, and Isagi will realize that reaching the #1 spot is harder than it seems. He will need to go through struggle and development to reach that #1 spot, as he's currently been on a high and at his best. Bastard will win the game, but Ren will still be above Isagi. This will push Isagi for more development in the future, as he can't accomplish his goal just yet. You could say it's a little drawn out to have Ren beating Isagi again for probably the 100th time, and I do agree as well, but the evidence is just there, and you'll see what I mean in a second. Again, for Isagi, it's a little too early for him to be the #1 in my opinion. I could see the argument of him leading the U20 Japan team, but at the same time, I think it would make more sense for him to reach the #1 spot during the World Cup arc at the end of the series, because again, his goal is to be the best player in the world, not the best U20 player, so he'll need to beat everyone in the World Cup. He quite literally said he wants to reach the level of the World 5, and he'll have to dethrone Noah, who is the current #1, in order to be the best player in the world. Winning the U20 doesn't make him the best. Going back to Ren now, Ren's goal, if he beat Isagi during the PXG match, means it's now just proving his brother wrong, beating Itoshi Sai. And going into the U20 World Cup, it would make sense if Ren was at his peak, specifically the #1 spot to go against Sai during it. Ren being #1, this also makes a lot of sense plot-wise for Sai and his character. His character is meant to be the good but acting bad guy, shunning Ren away to give him his ego and the drive to become the #1. It's been Sai's goal this whole time. Ren beating Isagi and staying #1, even if he loses to Bastard Munchen, means Sai is the final hurdle for both of the brothers to complete their goals. Sai made Ren a top striker, which was his goal, and Ren finally beat and will be acknowledged by Sai. Ren will beat Sai in the World Cup, the brothers complete both their goals, make up, and since Sai acknowledges Ren and Japan's improvement after losing to them in the U20, he'll help them and join the regular World Cup roster, as Sai has been hinted at for so long to play for Japan again. And since Ren completes his goal as the deuteragonist, that means we can have full focus on Isagi and his goal right after this. The dots are connected, the gears are turning, you see what I mean here. Every character completes their goal or has a happy ending here. The only argument is that Isagi doesn't have a happy ending here, but that's solved too. Isagi's goal is again one of the main points we have to look at. He is the main character, he has to complete his goal. The U20 World Cup I think will end in a loss, even after Japan beats Spain or Ren beating Sai. I do think Japan will still lose after this, maybe to another team like Germany or France. This will give Isagi more development and more drive for that #1 spot, since he failed to reach it during the U20. The next opportunity Isagi will have is in the actual World Cup. Isagi's goal is to be the best player in the world, not just the best U20 player. With Sai rejoining Japan, Ren will have completed his goal in the U20 arc, and now the focus is back on Isagi, our main character, for the actual World Cup. His goal, his originality, the only thing he desires is becoming the best player in the world. This specific way of Ren staying #1 and Bastard winning helps push the plot forward for the deuteragonist, places the main rival above our main character, gives our main character so much more development and also proof that he's getting closer to Ren by beating his team, and reintroduces Itoshi Sai back into the story and the Japan team. So even though all of the dots, including Ren, Sai, and Isagi, are connected, you might still be wondering, how does Bastard Munchen win this game over PXG? You could easily say PXG could win the game, since I'm literally saying Ren will be the #1 still, but I still think Bastard wins this game. Well, going into more detail, there's a lot of other things as well. For example, Kunigami getting closure on his rivalry with Shido makes sense here as well by beating him and being acknowledged by him. Showcasing Kaiser's skills as well before we say goodbye to his character until the U20 will also hype him up even more going into the World Cup. There's also some other things that don't have as much evidence, but if Bastard was gonna lose a match, I feel like it should have been the Ubers game. That way they could have improved during the downtime, learned from their mistakes, and beat PXG next time. But by beating Ubers, I guess it just shows they don't need that much improvement, like their levels are good enough to reach PXG. There's also the argument I made before about goal scorers. I still do think Kunigami, Kaiser, Isagi, Ren, and Shido will score 1 goal each, meaning Bastards win. Again, not too much support around those, but they're still valid arguments. Also, going off salary rankings, Ren is currently 48 million above Isagi. Assuming Ren scores a goal as well, which we've been saying the whole video, that means Isagi either needs to score 2 goals or play out of his mind to be above Ren and take the #1 spot. He also needs to either beat out Kunigami or Kaiser to that. And Kaiser still needs to be formidable or above Isagi as a rival going into the U20. So I guess that means Kunigami doesn't get a goal. Bro does absolutely absolutely nothing. Even though I'm saying only those 5 players are gonna score goals, everyone will 100% get their shine. We've seen it already in the first chapter of this match. The fact that there's infinite substitutes, players we haven't seen, Loki for Christ's sake, it's obviously gonna be such a hype match to see. But anyways, this theory hits a lot of plot points and sets up the future of BLUELOCK super nicely, and also gives a lot of development for our main character. Isagi quote-unquote winning the NEL, but losing to Ren will still make him chase for that #1 spot. I still can't imagine a world where him reaching the #1 this early, especially since his goal is to be the best in the world, not best in the U20. Whatever the case is though, I'm super hyped to see this match unfold. This is again one of the greatest matches we'll ever see in BLUELOCK, with so many rivalries and so much hype. This is just my theory on how I think it'll go. Maybe you think Isagi will be the #1 after the NEL, or maybe you agree with me that Ren will be the #1 and that Holy Toshi side development. Whatever you're thinking, leave it in the comments below, as everyone has an opinion. If you watched to the end, thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Hiryo, and I'll see you guys in the next one.